Alright, back with another review. It's going to be from G.I. Joe this time. The collectible that we'll be talking about is Dusty from the Sideshow Collectibles 1/6 scale G.I. Joe line. Dusty is the fifth G.I. fifth G.I. Joe character to come out from the Joe part, I should say. Let me make sure I'm specific with that. There's several Cobra people that have been put out. So we're at the fifth Joe character. Dusty is representing the desert part of the Joe line. So he's got, a more desert look to his outfit. Comes with, the normal amount of, crazy, hands and magazines and silencers and extra parts to the guns, and so he's loaded out like the rest of the Joes. Price wise, $129.99, so $130. His edition size for the exclusive, aka Elite version, is $400, which is what I got, and I'll show you what the exclusive piece was to Dusty. Talk a little bit about a couple of issues with Dusty and how your mileage may vary on how you feel about how the final paint came out, and talk a little bit about the likeness. Before I switch over to the figure, the figure itself is really good. The detailing in the outfit, the weapon, the weathering, all that stuff, is as excellent as always. Sculpt-wise, and I'll talk about it again here in a second, is it's supposed to look like Eric Bana, it looks like. And the sculpt is great. I mean, as far as that goes, I mean, it's Eric Bana. I mean, so that's the Andy Bergholz sculpted this, and he did a great job on it. When we saw the proto paint job come out, it was lightly camoed. You couldn't really tell the goatee was there. Now when it's come out, and I don't know how dark it'll look when I show you here on video, but there's some issues with the camo paint and with the goatee. Talk about the one of the headgear pieces he comes with, and some issues I have with that. But overall, pretty cool looking piece. Glad to have it in the Joe collection. Let me switch over to Dusty, and we'll be right back. All right, here we go with Dusty. I think the paint job, obviously here, what you're seeing on video, looks darker than it does in person. Not a lot darker, probably, but a little bit. Compared to the proto paint job, I mean, obviously it's not. It didn't hit the mark compared to that. I don't mind it as much as I do the goatee. The goatee looks really dark compared to what we saw with the prototype, and I mean, it's one of those, if it was going to turn out like this, it would have probably been best just not to go with it and just camo up his whole face. I'm not horribly upset with the paint job, but I'm not entirely pleased with it either. So it's one of those that the figure itself as a whole is good enough to save the paint job as far as making the figure worth getting, but if you get it repainted or you do something with the sculpt, I could understand why you would do that as well. Go over the rest of the figure. As you can see, I mean, he's just loaded out with stuff. The knee pads do come off. They are Velcro. One of mine actually was floating around inside the box, so I had to Velcro it back on. You've got the FAMAS here with the bipod, and those pieces do move, so you can fold those out, and if you wanted to set him up laying on the ground, I guess you could. There is the silencer on it. You have an AC-58. Let me make sure I'm saying that right. Yeah, AC-58 anti-armor, anti-rifle grenade. So, no, I said it right the first time. Anti-armor rifle grenade. You have to forgive me. I have to look some of this up before I talk about it, because I admit I'm not a military person necessarily. That will fit on the edge, the end of the rifle here. the grip there at the end does move. The pistol holder you actually have to put on the leg with this figure. The other times it's already been, they've already done that for you. One of mine doesn't necessarily, the clip's on the inside here. I don't know if you can get a good look at it, but one of the inside clips wants to come loose a little bit, so it's, it's a little bit of a pain in the butt, but could be worse. You've got holders back here for the water bottles, which are in there. You got the backpack. I've got some of the grenades on the backpack here in the back. You've got smoke grenades, which go right in there. You can see one of the smoke grenades, and there's one on each side, one on the right side, one on the left side. You got plenty of options for a different badge assortment. I just kind of put on the ones that I liked. Backpack goes on. The belt here is separate, so there's a couple of different belt clips. You've got a deal here for where the pistol magazines go. If I can get that to shut or not. Hands. I'll show you the accessory, the extra hands and stuff here in a second. I went with the closed fist on the left hand because I kind of wanted to kind of just have him standing there looking forward. The weathering on the gun is really, really good. I don't know how well it'll come across in the camera here, but hopefully it'll look good. But show you this here. I don't know how well that's going to come through. But as you can see, they actually flocked this one compared to Flint's beret. And to be honest with you, I kind of wish they had just painted it. Because as you can see, it's already starting to come off a little bit. And over time, that's really it's going to come off and not look so hot. So going with the painted route like they did with Flint was probably a much better idea. Not sure why the change, but I like it, but I just wish it wasn't flocked. Because I mean, it's gonna, like I said, it's gonna come off, and no matter how long you've got the figure, and gonna be a bit of an issue. Kind of back up here so you can get a look at the pose. And he's falling backwards a little bit. I gotta fix him. That's why the foot's sticking in the air, but it's a really good figure overall. I got him. I used rewards points on him, so I got him for 95 shipped. I think is what I ended up getting for, something like that. So didn't pay full price, but definitely glad to add Dusty to the Joe collection here. And it comes with the sand base cover piece here. Covers up the Joe logo. If you have Darth Maul, if you have the Maul's balls as they're called, it's the same slip cover thing that comes with him. So it's cool. It adds a little bit of environment to the standard figure base, but Dusty's he's a cool figure. Like I said, obviously wish that the paint scheme had turned out a little bit better, but still a good figure. Still a solid 6, 7 out of 10. He comes with the helmet with the and the flaps here on the back are actually glued in. And as you can see how shiny it is on the inside. That's because you have helmet liner pieces you need to take off and put in there, and I'll do that at some point. You get the Desert G.I. Joe laser rifle. You get a bunch of hands. As always. another piece to the gun. There is the exclusive AC-58. You get goggles, which go on the helmet. More name tag pieces. And, of course, feet. A right and a left with the toe bend. So you got plenty of stuff. Plenty of stuff for $130. But yeah, Dusty's a good figure. He's definitely one I'm glad that I added to the collection. Give you my final thoughts here in just a second. We'll be right back. Okay, back with my final thoughts. Like I said, Dusty is an excellent figure to get. You know, obviously him having to be extra camoed up because of what I would assume is, Eric Bana not being cool with his likeness being used, which sucks because he got in the way of an excellent G.I. Joe figure. I mean, if they want to sculpt me and turn me into a Joe figure, which ironically, when it first came out and it was hidden, some people thought it looked like me, but hell, turn me into a Joe figure. I'll sign away on it. But it's a good figure. The price on it is cool with everything you get. His outfit is really well done. The tailoring on it, the strings on the pants, which I think you saw in one of the when I was showing one of the legs, I think it kind of had popped out of the boot, but you can actually loosen the strings up and change the fluffiness on the bottom of his pants. Weathering on it is fantastic. The stuff that you get, like I said, the price isn't bad, but obviously there's some issue with the camo paint, the beard, and the flocked beret. But other than that, like I said, I'm glad I got him. It's going to be great to put another Joe on the shelf. You got Stalker coming out soon, so another Joe, so we'll be up to 6. Like I said, I think Dusty's 5. I think this is 6. So it's nice to start adding to the Joe, end of the spectrum. Like I said, glad to have him. We'll have the pictures up on the blog soon. crazycollecting.wordpress.com. You can check those out there. Had my best month of the last, 13 months that I've been doing this now. Had 2,200 views on the blog, so did great last month. Over 10,000 views, almost 11,000 views on the blog total. So just want to thank you guys for checking that out. We'll be back real soon. Got Bucky, the Captain America premium format coming. Got Gandalf the Grey statue maquette. Ghost Rider is going to be here soon. So got several reviews lined up for you guys. Of course, Comic-Con's going to be here in just a couple of months, and we'll be covering that for you. So until next time, guys, take it easy.